You know, it's funny. I haven't seen the squirrels in my backyard lately. Been kind of quiet back there.
Squirrels? Really? Since when are you the neighborhood squirrel watcher?
Hey, they're part of the ecosystem. Adds a little life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot. No. Coffee. Everywhere.
Oh, my goodness. Did you actually just do that? Are you trying to make a point or just a mess?
Ugh. Peace. Peace, that's what we need.
Well, that's one way to transition, I guess.
Speaking of peace, though, tomorrow, October 10th, is the day. The Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 gets announced.
Right. And the timing is pretty intense this year, wouldn't you say? The whole world seems to be holding its breath.
Totally. There's just so much tension and, honestly, a bit of chaos buzzing around it, especially with that recent news.
Yeah, that huge diplomatic move. You can't ignore the talk about the current U.S. president possibly getting the nod. It's everywhere.
It really is. The geopolitical drama is just, well, off the charts. Makes you want to shout, peace, peace. Like I just did. Maybe it'll help.
If only it were that simple. But yeah, I get the feeling.
So, for today's Sip and Talk, we figured we should really get into this. Look at the prize itself, what it means.
And unpack this new preliminary deal between Israel and Hamas, which is dominating the headlines.
Exactly. And then kind of contrast that with the situation in Ukraine, which is still just grinding on, see how it all fits together, you know.
Sounds like a plan. And maybe start with the prize itself. Mm-hmm. Because its history is, well, kind of ironic.
Oh, massively ironic. Alfred Nobel, right? The guy who set up the prize in his will back in 1895.
Yeah, the inventor of dynamite. Made his fortune from basically weapons manufacturing or things that go boom.
Right. And the story goes he created this prize for peace, for disarmament, for fraternity between nations, basically to like clean up his legacy, balance the scales.
Seems that way. A way to maybe find some good out of something so destructive. It's quite the origin story.
And it's the only Nobel Prize handled in Norway, in Oslo. The others are all Sweden. Any idea why?
It's one of those historical quirks. Apparently, it was Nobel's specific choice. Maybe he felt Oslo was, I don't know, more neutral ground for peace, less tied up in Swedish politics at the time.
Could be. And the committee itself is usually Norwegian politicians, academics.
Right, and they keep the nomination list secret for 50 years, which is wild, supposedly to stop lobbying, but...
Yeah, does that ever really work? Still, the prize has definitely highlighted some incredible people over the years.
Absolutely. You think of Martin Luther King Jr. for nonviolence.
Or Malala Yousafzai, so young, just 17, fighting for girls' education. That was powerful.
And organizations, too, like the Red Cross. They've won it 3 times, I think, for humanitarian work.
But it's not without controversy, is it? It often gets called political.
Oh, definitely. Remember the buzz around President Obama getting it in 2009, so early in his term?
Yeah, critics were saying, what's he actually done yet for peace? Felt premature to some.
And then there are the really thorny ones, like Henry Kissinger in '73 for the Vietnam ceasefire.
Oh, yeah. Huge backlash there. Because of his role in, well, other conflicts and controversial policies, it shows how tricky it is to judge these things in the moment.
It really does. Short-term deals versus, long-term impact and ethics.
And speaking of controversy, or maybe just regret, Gandhi. Nominated 5 times, never won.
That's the big one. Often called the committee's greatest omission. A huge figure for peace, but never got the prize.
Which kind of sets the stage perfectly for the current drama, doesn't it?
Yeah.
President Trump announcing this preliminary Phase 1 deal, October 3rd, Israel and Hamas.
Yeah, after the conflict that kicked off back in, October 2023. This is, you have to say, a pretty big development.
Okay, so break down Phase 1 for us. What's actually in it?
Okay, the core is this. Hamas agrees to release all the remaining hostages. They think 20 are still alive, plus the remains of about 26 to 28 others.
And they have to do this quickly.
Very quickly, within 72 hours of the deal getting the final... Okay, that's the key Hamas commitment up front.
Wow, okay. That's significant pressure. And what does Israel commit to in this first phase?
They commit to pulling their forces back to what's being called the Yellow Line.
The Yellow Line.
Yeah.
What does that mean practically?
It's basically where their troops were positioned back in August of 2025. So it's a withdrawal, but maybe not a full one initially. It sets up for, later phases.
And those later phases involve things like a peacekeeping force.
Yeah, the idea is a multinational force. Turkey, Qatar, Indonesia mentioned, and then a deeper Israeli withdrawal, maybe to a red line, but only after the U.S. checks things out. It's complex, lots of moving parts.
It sounds like it. And the way Trump announced it? Very him.
Oh, classic political theater. Announced it on Truth Social. Apparently, Senator Marco Rubio handed him a note during a hearing on something else entirely Antifa, I think.
Seriously? During an Antifa hearing?
Yep. The note supposedly said, "Seize the moment." And he did. Put himself right at the center of it all.
Wow. And who is actually doing the legwork on the deal?
His usual team, sounds like. Jared Kushner, Victor Witkoff working with the Israelis, and then separate mediators talking to Hamas.
And Hamas?
Yeah.
How did they react?
The reports say they showed cautious deference, which suggests maybe the pressure campaign diplomatic, maybe military worked, pushed them towards being pragmatic, perhaps.
Interesting phrasing. Cautious deference. And Netanyahu, he must be pleased.
Oh, absolutely. He called it a diplomatic, national, and moral victory, claiming success.
So this brings us right back to that headline question. Genius or vainglorious.
Mm-hmm.
How are people framing Trump's role in this?
Well, you hear all those labels, don't you? Genius, it's like he cuts through the usual diplomatic mess, gets deals done, maybe like the Abraham Accords. Very intuitive, transactional.
The cutting hero idea, maybe. Pragmatic, gets results.
Exactly. That's one side. Then you have the critics who use terms like madman. His unpredictability maybe pressures people, but it's unstable.
Or just vainglorious, meaning it's all about self-promotion, the optics.
Right. And which label sticks kind of depends on what happens next, doesn't it? If this phase one holds and maybe leads to more, it looks like genius or cunning.
But if the later phases fall apart, if Gaza governance doesn't stabilize, if disarmament fails,
then it could easily look like a short-term stunt, just vanity. And the Nobel Prize is supposed to be for lasting peace, which makes short-term wins a risky bet for the committee historically.
That's a really key point. What about the wider ripple effects? Iran, for instance, they back Hamas. How are they reacting?
It's fascinating, actually. They gave, guarded support, publicly saying they support any initiative that stops genocide, and they seem to welcome Hamas being pragmatic.
Guarded support.
Yeah.
So what are the reservations? What's the catch?
Their big worry seems to be strategic. They're suspicious. This is just Israel trying to quiet things down on the Gaza front.
So they can focus elsewhere.
Exactly. So Israel can turn towards Iran is the fear, especially after that Israel-Iran clash back in June 2025.
Okay, so Iran sees this as potentially weakening their position?
Sure. They absolutely do not want Hamas to be fully disarmed. Hamas is crucial to their whole axis of resistance strategy against Israel. So yeah, they're watching this very, very closely.
So with all this swirling politics, the U.S. election context, Iran's worries, what are the actual odds of Trump getting the Nobel Prize for this?
Most experts are saying pretty low.
Really?
Yeah.
Even with such a big deal?
Yeah, the committee usually tries hard not to look like it's interfering in major power politics, especially U.S. elections. And ironically, Trump publicly campaigning for it might actually hurt his chances. They don't tend to like that.
They often go for less controversial figures or institutions, right?
Exactly. Long-term efforts, which raises the question, if not Trump, then who or what?
Good question. Any buzz around alternatives?
Well, one name, or rather acronym, that comes up is UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency.
Ah, okay. Why them?
Because they represent that long-term institutional humanitarian work, dealing with displaced people globally year after year. It's apolitical, focused on suffering. Awarding them would send a very different message.
Yeah, it would shift the focus from the big political deal-making to the ongoing human cost of conflict.
Which is a pretty stark contrast when you pivot from this glimmer of hope in the Middle East to what's still happening in Ukraine.
Right. Day 1323 today, October 9th. Still going. No breakthrough deal there.
No, it's the definition of a grinding war of attrition. Russia has taken more ground this year, maybe 5,000 square kilometers.
Which sounds like a lot, but...
But the pace has really slowed down. It's the slowest rate of advance since May, apparently. It's becoming stagnant, almost, but incredibly bloody and destructive.
And the tactics are shifting, seeing lots about attacks on infrastructure.
Definitely. Russia seems to be hitting Ukraine's energy grid hard. Lviv, Zaporizhia, feels like they're trying to create a crisis for the winter, break civilian morale.
Brutal. And Ukraine's response?
They're hitting back where Russia is vulnerable economically, targeting oil refineries.
So effective is that?
Seems quite effective. Some reports say maybe 38% of Russia's refinery capacity is offline now. That's huge. It hits their war funding, their domestic fuel supply. It's smart asymmetric warfare.
Wow, 38%. That's gotta hurt. But both sides must be struggling with manpower after all this time.
Oh, hugely. Russia just ordered its biggest draft since 2016. They're calling up 135,000 young men, 18 to 30. That signals serious shortages.
And Ukraine.
They're trying to be more efficient, automating how they track and assign military specialists, basically trying to make the most of the people they have, streamlining mobilization.
We also saw Russia use that new Su-57 fighter jet. First time in Ukraine.
Yeah, deploying some advanced tech, maybe testing it, maybe signaling, but likely in limited numbers.
So the biggest underlying fear remains that nuclear plant, right?
Yeah.
Zaporizhia, ZNPP.
Absolutely. It's still terrifyingly close to the fighting. The UN's nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, reported shelling less than a mile away recently.
And it keeps getting disconnected from the main power grid.
Constantly, which means it has to rely on diesel generators just to keep the reactors cool. That is just walking a tightrope. The risk of a catastrophic accident is always there.
So you put these two situations side by side. The Mideast deal, the Ukraine war. It's such a mixed picture of conflict and maybe peace efforts.
It really shows the spectrum, doesn't it? In one place, you have this high-wire diplomacy, very transactional, using pressure, and let's face it, unpredictability.
And in the other, just this slow, grinding destruction, trying to wear the other side down, hitting infrastructure, hoping the other side breaks first.
It underscores that peace, when it happens, often isn't just about ideals. It's about power balances, leverage, sometimes really difficult compromises. It's messy.
Which brings us back to that fundamental anti-war message that kind of has to be the takeaway from looking at all this.
Yeah. War just causes so much suffering. Doesn't matter if it's fast or slow, declared or undeclared. It destroys lives, families, homes, futures. Nobody really comes out ahead in the end.
So the only real path forward has to be finding ways to step back from the brink, doesn't it? Prioritizing stopping the fighting.
Ceasefires, dialogue, even when it's hard, even when trust is broken. Trying to find solutions that everyone can somehow live with, even if nobody loves them.
Because peace isn't just like a temporary political fix. It has to be seen as the goal, the shared future we have to build.
It means putting down the weapons, yes, but also doing the incredibly hard work of rebuilding trust. That's the real challenge.
So, as we wait for that Nobel announcement tomorrow, here's something to think about, maybe a final thought for you listening.
Considering this tension, right, between rewarding a flashy, maybe fragile diplomatic win, like the Trump deal,
and rewarding the long haul, often unseen work of building lasting peace, maybe institutionally.
What if the committee does sidestep the big political names? What if they choose an organization like the UNHCR, the refugee agency we mentioned?
Yeah. How would that choice change the conversation? What would it say about what we value most when we talk about peace in a world facing so many different kinds of crises all at once?
Does real peace need the spotlight, or does it thrive in the quiet, persistent work? Something to mull over.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us today on Sip and Talk, digging into all this complex stuff with us.
Yeah, I hope we gave you some interesting angles and things to consider.
And hey, if you like this, don't forget to subscribe to Sip and Talk. We try to bring you this kind of quick, deep knowledge regularly.
And also, check out our good friend Mickey's YouTube channel. It's called Mickytolife. Seriously, fun stuff over there. Memes, music, wine tastings, travel vlogs. Just good vibes.
Absolutely. Mickytolife on YouTube. Give it a look. We'll catch you next time here on Sip and Talk.
Bye, everyone.